Hello, this is John Hodges with Fort Defiance. Talking today about the P2131 Automated Field Steam Sterilizer. I want to go through the top 10 operational situations and responses for the operator. So the first one is if you're running a vacuum leak test, what do you do if it fails? Basically, if that's a pretty big deal, you need to call a qualified BMET for that. They need to come in and diagnose it. There's some information in the technical manual they can go through, but if that happens, that needs to be taken out of service. Number two, what do you do if you experience a power failure during operation? You know, the lights go out, they come back on. We've actually got that on the front of the unit. It's this warning here. It says power failure response. Flip the power switch off, which is this, so you flip it off. When the power returns, flip the switch back on. Once it boots up, we'll press confirm, and I'll let it boot up here, and then we're going to press vent. We're going to open the door, and then you always have to reprocess the load. Because it's been shut down in the middle of a cycle, you have to pull out what's there and you have to reprocess the load from scratch. All right, so I'm going to press confirm. I'm going to close the door, because that would be, if I'm in the middle of the cycle, the door would be closed. There's a button in the middle called vent. Vent, it's going to pull a slight vacuum, then it's going to relieve the vacuum, giving the zero pressure on the door. Then I can open it up, and then I can reprocess my load. Okay, number two. Number two says the cycles are taking a lot longer than usual. Once you've run the P2131 for a while, you'll get used to the timing. You'll get used to how long a prevac section takes. You'll get used to how long the venting portion takes. So if you see that something's taking a lot longer than usual, we have watchdog timers in there to shut the cycle off if it gets too long. But if you notice that it's starting to creep up, what that is sometimes is the water in the water recovery system is hot. The water recovery system is where the vacuum source is. So if the water in there is hot, the vacuum that it can pull and the speed that it can pull down degrades a little bit. So everything gets a little bit slower the hotter that water is. So basically just need to let that cool off. Once it gets cool, the time should come back if that's the issue. Okay, number four. What if you forget to record a previous cycle? You've run a wrapped instruments, a 4-minute cycle, you've let it dry for 60 minutes, you've gotten the log but you forgot to record it, you've gone on to the next cycle, no problem. At the end of that cycle, you'll see the log for the last cycle. You can always go to the log, and you've got these arrows that go back and forth. So you can go back in history or forward in history. So this is the current one. If I go back, I see that I aborted the previous cycle. There was a textile 4.5, and all the information you need is there. The log will actually hold 40 cycles, so you can forget quite a bit and still go back in time. Okay, back to main menu. Okay, number five, the jacket is overfilled with water. You'll notice on the sight gauge on the back that there's a high mark. If you go beyond the high mark, you'll get above the sight gauge and you won't be able to see the top of the water anymore. You've overfilled the jacket, no big deal. You need to turn the sterilizer off and let it cool down and let it completely depressurize. When the pressure in the jacket reaches zero, then it's actually safe to attach the high temperature hose in the back. You can drain the water out of the jacket until you start seeing water appear on the sight gauge. Once you see it on the sight gauge, you can stop draining. You take the hose off and you can start back up again. You'll close the drain, take the hose off, and get started again. So no big deal, but you don't really want to run with it overfilled. Okay, number six, the jacket does not refill when the switch on the water recovery system is depressed. There's several things that could be going on here. One, if the water level in the water recovery system gets too low, there's a switch that will keep the water recovery system from running at all. That's to protect the pump. So if you're trying to add water when you don't have any water, it's not going to let you do that. So that's one thing. So to fix that, you basically just use the water softener and you're going to add some water. The next one is there's a cable, the electrical cable from the sterilizer down to the water recovery system. That needs to be plugged in. If it's not, you're not going to get any power down there. The other thing could be that it's not turned on. There's a power switch. This is the power switch for the sterilizer. There's also a power switch down on the water recovery system to turn it on. So if it's off, just go ahead and turn it on. Let's see. Other than that, there may be some things going on inside with the electronics. You can always call BMET for that. Okay, there's a vacuum in the jacket at startup. First thing in the morning, you come in and you see that the jacket pressure is all the way here and all the way down to 30 inches of mercury. You got a full vacuum. There's really nothing you need to do other than just go ahead and turn it on. That's not going to be a problem at all. As a matter of fact, that's very, very common. So there's no issue with that. The next is the chamber door will not open due to vacuum on the chamber. If you have a vacuum in here and you can't get into the chamber at all, there could be pressure or there could be a vacuum, either one. There's a vent button on the main menu. If you go to the log, there's a vent button on the log also. Both of those do the same thing. They will actually turn the water recovery system on and get the chamber back to zero. Once that turns off, you'll be at zero and you can get into the chamber. What if the water recovery system is running for seemingly no reason, or it just keeps running after the alarm is reset? What that's doing, it's trying to vent. It's trying to get the chamber to a zero pressure condition where you can get into it. If the door is closed, latched, but it's not tightened, it's not going to be able to pull a vacuum. So what it's going to do, it's going to keep trying to pull a vacuum and keep trying to pull a vacuum and keep trying to pull a vacuum, and it's going to be running for seemingly no reason. But the reason is you haven't tightened the door. So if it's running and running and running, come over and tighten the door. In no time at all, it'll pull a slot vacuum, it'll turn off and vent, and you'll be able to get into the door. Okay, last one is, what happens if your sterilizer or water softener is not available? You need to locate another sterilizer or water softener. That's how important this piece of equipment is. It's important to the heaters, it's important to the valves, it's important to everything in the water recovery system. Everything in there is dependent on soft water. The heaters themselves, we've seen with and without soft water, huge difference. So if you don't have one of these, find one and use it. All right, that's all for the operational situations for the P2131. Thank you very much.